How far can a person descend when no one is watching? On the dark side of the internet in Brazil, the answer is way too far. Here, violence is not hidden. It is broadcast, recorded, shared, and worst of all, normalized. In July 2007, in the city of Blumenau, Brazil, a 16-year-old teenager named Daniel Petri committed one of the most horrific crimes in Brazilian history against Gabriel Kuhn, a boy who was only 12 years old, all over a debt in Tibia. Tibia is a very well-known online game from the early 2000s where thousands of people interact simultaneously in an open world, and both Daniel and Gabriel spent hours playing it. On top of that, they were neighbors. Their families had known each other for years. On Friday, July 20th, 2007, while playing as they did every weekend, Gabriel asked Daniel for a loan of 20,000 in-game gold coins. Daniel agreed without any problem, assuming Gabriel would pay him back the next day, which never happened. Daniel felt betrayed, filled with rage. And on Monday, July 23rd, he called Gabriel and invited him to come over to his house to play. In reality, he wanted revenge. When Gabriel arrived, Daniel took him straight to his bedroom. He called his mother to make sure she wouldn't be coming back soon, and there, after hanging up the phone, he abused him. That was his idea of revenge, to do that to a 12-year-old boy. While he was beating and threatening him, Gabriel, desperate and not knowing what to do, begged him to leave him alone, saying he would tell everyone what he had done. That was the worst thing he could have said. Daniel, consumed by rage, grabbed him by the neck and strangled him until he lost consciousness. Thinking he was dead, Daniel tried to carry him up to the attic, but Gabriel was too heavy. So he came up with an aberrant idea. He went to the garage, grabbed a saw, and without thinking twice, began cutting off Gabriel's legs. To Daniel, this was the best way to make him weigh less. The worst part is that during this, Gabriel was still alive, unconscious, or at least he was until he woke up from the pain caused by the saw cutting into his legs. He began screaming desperately, but Daniel didn't stop. Minutes later, Gabriel died from hypovolemic shock, meaning massive blood loss. Daniel stayed in the house for a few minutes, staring at what he had done, with the mutilated body lying beside him. He didn't try to flee immediately, nor did he ask for help. His reaction was cold. That same day, just a few hours later, Gabriel's older brother, Guilherme Kuhn, arrived home after a dentist appointment. When he got there, something felt wrong. The door was locked, and there were no signs of his younger brother. He went to the neighbor's house, thinking Gabriel might be there as he often was. He knocked on the door, and Daniel opened it. What he saw behind him froze him in place. His brother's body was lying in the hallway right under the attic hatch. It was partially covered, with the severed legs placed next to it. The scene was brutal. At that moment, Guilherme ran out screaming and calling for help. Neighbors quickly noticed, and the police arrived shortly after. When officers entered the house, Daniel was still there, as if nothing had happened. He didn't resist or try to defend himself. When asked what happened, he confessed. He said Gabriel owed him gold from the game, and as revenge, he did what he did. Inside the house, police found blood-stained clothes, tools that matched the wounds, and bodily fluids directly linking him to the crime. He was arrested and taken into custody as a minor. In the following days, an autopsy was performed. The results were clear and devastating. Gabriel died from massive blood loss. There were also signs that Daniel had sexually abused Gabriel on 2 occasions, the first while he was still alive, and the second after cutting off his legs, meaning after he had already died. Despite the severity of the crime, Daniel was tried under Brazil's Statute of Children and Adolescents. Because he was 16, the maximum sentence was 3 years in a juvenile correctional facility. During his time there, he received psychological help, although he never showed remorse. In his statements, he insisted that Gabriel was to blame for betraying him and not returning what he had stolen in Tibia. The worst part is that in 2010, Daniel completed his sentence and was released. Since then, no one knows where he is. Authorities have not disclosed any information about his current whereabouts. In other words, the man who committed one of the most atrocious crimes in Brazilian history is free, walking the streets simply because he was a minor at the time. Sometimes the law is a joke. The case of influencer Luna Ambrosavicius is another clear example that the dark side of Brazil's internet keeps getting more and more disturbing. On May 19, 2025, Brazilian influencer Luna was stabbed 9 times while live streaming in front of thousands of people. Everything was seen and heard. The attacker, the blood, the wounds, and the screams. She was only 22 years old. No one at that age imagines they will experience something so violent, especially in front of thousands of witnesses. Until then, Luna created content about her lifestyle, tattoos, cars, and similar topics. Although her official account is currently deactivated, photos still exist online showing the kind of content she used to post. She wasn't the biggest or most successful influencer, but with around 1,000 followers, she was fairly well known. As thousands of people watched live what was happening to Luna, they began sending messages, calling emergency services, and trying to get help in any way possible. The worst part was that no one knew who was attacking her. All that could be heard were screams of pain, rage, and fear. Screams that alarmed the neighbors. One neighbor, hearing what was happening, ran upstairs to the apartment and found the door open. Luna was lying on the floor, covered in blood, barely conscious. The attacker was gone. When paramedics arrived, Luna was in critical condition. She had lost a lot of blood and had injuries all over her body, on her back, head, hands, and one wound that had completely opened the top of her foot between the toes. What had been done to her was worse than initially thought. But who could be capable of attacking Luna so violently? Apparently, her ex-boyfriend, Alex de Oliveira, 26 years old. He was not an influencer or public figure, but he had been her boyfriend for some time. Behind that relationship was a possessive, jealous, explosive man, someone who became increasingly violent over time. There were constant arguments, shouting, and toxic scenes. Videos even leaked showing Alex breaking things in Luna's house, insulting her, and completely losing control. He was unhinged. She had broken up with him the day before the attack after a major fight. He didn't want to let her go, so he committed the biggest madness of his life. He entered Luna's home while she was live streaming on Instagram, attacked her, stabbed her 9 times, and tried to kill her. There is good news and bad news. The good news is that Luna survived. After several hours in surgery, she received blood transfusions and reconstructive procedures in multiple areas of her body. The bad news is that Alex is on the run. As of today, Luna continues to receive threatening messages, and São Paulo police have been unable to locate him. That means this man could attack Luna again at any moment. At the time of this video, police have been searching for him for over a month. And unfortunately, this is not the only case in Brazil involving a violent, toxic man. Just before her disappearance, on her way home, a young woman named Victoria sent voice messages to a friend on WhatsApp, and after that, no one heard from her again. For over a week, police worked to find her until on March 5th, 9 days after she disappeared, Victoria was found dead in a forest about 3 miles from her home. She was naked, showing signs of decomposition, with her head shaved and separated from her neck, and clear evidence of abuse. The forensic report confirmed that the cause of death was 3 punches to the neck and face. At first, no one knew who had done it, but it wouldn't be hard to find out. All evidence pointed to one man, Michael Antonio Sales dos Santos, 23 years old. On Victoria's phone, investigators found hundreds of messages and calls from Michael, showing a disturbing obsession with her. When he was arrested and his home searched, police found traces of Victoria's blood on the floor, images of knives on his phone, a revolver, and even internet searches about how to cut a human neck. There were also security camera recordings showing Michael following her on several occasions, including the day she disappeared. What shocked everyone was that Michael was married. According to him, that was the reason he killed Victoria so brutally. He was interrogated in the early hours of March 18th. He claimed he was very remorseful and had acted out of desperation because Victoria supposedly threatened to tell his wife everything. He admitted to having a secret relationship with a teenager, but when it ended he feared his wife would find out, so he decided to get rid of Victoria. However, hours after confessing, he claimed he had lied and said he would never hurt his beloved Victoria. Clearly, he was completely unhinged. Nothing he said made sense, especially after one of Victoria's best friends disproved his story and explained what had actually happened. Michael and Victoria lived in the same neighborhood in Cajamar, São Paulo, and had known each other for a long time. But despite Michael being in love with her, they were not friends and did not have a close relationship. At first, his obsession was mild. He followed her on social media, sent messages, called her, but she never replied. Until one day, out of simple kindness, she replied to one of his Instagram messages. That response sealed her fate. That single message completely unleashed Michael's obsession. He believed he had a chance with her. Who would have thought that replying to a simple Instagram message would condemn her to such a horrific death? Michael is currently awaiting trial. His sentence is unknown, but it is certain that he will spend many years in prison. And as twisted as it sounds, there are people capable of doing what Michael did, not out of love or obsession, but purely for entertainment. In the early morning of February 18, 2025, in the Pichinche neighborhood in western Rio de Janeiro, a homeless man was sleeping on the sidewalk, as he did most nights. He didn't know someone was watching him, nor that from a Discord server. Dozens of people were waiting eagerly for what was about to happen. A 17-year-old teenager, hooded and wearing gloves, approached with 2 bottles in his hands. They were Molotov cocktails. Without hesitation, he threw them directly onto the man's body. The fire immediately engulfed him, while 200 people watched the torture live. It was a private Discord community where teenagers with extremist ideologies gathered. The 46-year-old homeless man suffered third-degree burns over more than 60% of his body. He was helped by people in the area and rushed to Lorenzo Jorge Municipal Hospital. Despite the severity of his injuries, doctors reported that he was stable and conscious. Against all odds, he survived. The investigation moved quickly. Thanks to security camera footage, police identified the teenager 2 days later. He was hiding at his grandmother's house and could not avoid arrest. When police searched his room, they found the clothes he wore during the attack, a backpack with gloves and masks, and a phone containing highly disturbing content. It included child sexual abuse material, extremist symbols, screenshots of the crime, and the Discord channel where it was streamed. That's when police realized the teenager was part of extremist groups where violence, attacks on minorities, and enjoyment of human suffering were openly discussed. The attack was not impulsive. It had been planned and shared as exclusive content for the community in exchange for money. Authorities also arrested a 20-year-old man who filmed the attack. Both were charged with attempted aggravated murder, use of explosive devices, criminal conspiracy, promotion of misogyny, and possession of illegal material. The case became widely known in Brazil, not only because of the brutality of the act, but because of the role the Discord server played as a hub for planning the crime. Police confirmed the group had spent weeks sharing hate speech, mockery, violent content, planning attacks, and creating an environment where violence was normalized, celebrated, and even monetized. That's all for today. If you'd like me to explore the dark side of the internet in a specific country, leave it in the comments. The comment with the most likes will become the next video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.